Nation.
You
Squad.
Let's go, baby. New Year, same us. It's been a minute. How y'all doing?
doing good, bro. Did I leave enough space for RK there? I tried to pause and leave enough space.
Well done.
Did a great job.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Well done. Good to see y'all, boys. I ain't seen you since I seen you, man. I hope y'all feeling all right. I hope 2025 treating y'all lovely already.
Same to y'all, man.
Hasn't seen the squad since last year in San Antonio, man. Y'all look great.
Crazy.
Just trying just for you, Unc. New year, same us, though. Some stuff has happened in the, 4 days since we last had a show? Actually quite a bit. So we got a lot to get to today. Let's dig into it, though, man. A few days ago, shortly after the Buff season ended, it was reported Coach Phil Loadholt, Coach Vincent Dancy, they're out of here. Both going to Mississippi State to join Jeff Lebby, the head coach there for the Bulldogs. I think there was some freak out. I was actually kind of surprised with how Buff Nation was, measured, I think, with this one. And, you look at the move, it is concerning. I mean, you're losing the offensive line coach again. I think this is like the 7th straight year that the Buffs have had to get a new offensive line coach. That's, of course, going over multiple coaches. But look, man, I mean, Coach Loadholt coached with Lebby at Oklahoma when Lebby was the OC there. There's that connection. And Coach Dancy went to Jackson State, played there, coached Mississippi Valley State, and now just going back home, really. So I'm not going to just freak out too much about this. Plus, we still have Deion Coach Prime Sanders as the head coach. And that network is ever-reaching. I think they'll be fine. But, where do you guys want to start with this?
I mean, I could just start with just the fact that's the price of winning. That's the price of success. We knew that, when you get to 9 wins, with a chance to get to 10 wins, especially after what had transpired last year, that there were going to be some guys leaving, for different spots, for, elevations, and whatnot in terms of, whether what they're paid or just what their role is. And that was just inevitable with the success that the Buffs had this season. Coach Loadholt really did a hell of a job, and obviously he earned a different opportunity in the SEC. That's dope for both him and Coach Dancy. This is going to be one of the bigger stories of the offseason in terms of who Coach Prime decides to go with as his next, offensive line coach, because, a big reason why, a Chauncey Gooden, why a Carday Smith committed to Colorado. And I talked to both of those guys, and both of those guys mentioned the fact that, Coach Loadholt had been there and done that before, that he has, been where they want to be. And that was a big selling point to recruits, particularly at that position. And I'm sure we can kind of get into, what that next kind of guy at that position might look like. But I would assume it would be a guy with NFL experience, whether it be somebody who played in the NFL or somebody who coached in the NFL or even somebody who has NFL connections, because that's obviously what kind of Coach Prime's MO is when he's trying to building out, this coaching staff. So that'll be fascinating to see. It's like you said, Jake, he's earned the benefit of the doubt, because around this time last year, I didn't even know Coach Loadholt was coaching. I knew him as a former NFL tackle. I didn't know Robert Livingston, really. I didn't know his name around this time last year. And Coach Prime obviously did. He identified both of those guys, and both of those guys were, particularly Livingston, home run hires. So Coach Prime deserves our benefit of the doubt, and I'm sure he'll get this right.
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, abso-damn-lutely. I think the panic, is that you had two high-profile, high-quality coaches not only leave at the same time, but go to the same institution. And I think that kind of, makes people sit on the edge of the seat. And I love, Scotty, your breakdown there on why we shouldn't panic. And I also love, Jake, what you said, because you have to look at this case by case. When you look at the relationship capital for Phil Loadholt, and then you look at Dancy just simply having the opportunity to go back home and coach, whereas on paper, these are lateral moves, and you just have to look at the ancillary things with them that means something to the individual, to the unique individual. And Coach Phil Loadholt's relationship with that head coach and Dancy's relationship with being back home in Mississippi, the moves just make sense. I will say this to Buff Nation out there, having just wrapped up my 5th season with Coach Prime. One of the things he's always said in the coaching industry is you either elevated or you terminated, meaning you either move on by your choice or you stay around long enough to get fired. I think in one of the Batman movies, they called it you either die the hero, live long enough to become the villain. And so these two guys have moved on while they're fired. Their iron is still hot. But back to the point I was going to make about being with Coach Prime 5 seasons, I've always seen coaches leave. I've even seen him ask coaches to leave, and that part hadn't happened yet. There's going to be changes to come, just like they've always been changes. But here's the upside to Buff Nation. Never in my history with him has it not gotten better. And if you don't believe it, let's just take a pause and look at Colorado. We don't have to go back to Jackson State days. Everybody wanted to panic when Nick Williams went to Syracuse because he is a quality coach and had a great rapport and impact with the student athletes he was coaching.
Facts.
Did it not get better with Vincent Dancy?
It did.
And that's no slight to Nick Williams. Yeah. Just like when the next person that comes is better than Vincent Dancy, that's no slight to Vincent Dancy. What is it a credit to? It's a credit to the tip of the spear, the head coach. It's a credit to the organization and the way it's managed. These are attractive jobs, and you better believe the people who come in and become the O-line coach or become the edge rushers coach are going to be people who can get guys to the next level, and starting with them winning games at Colorado, and that starts with being able to connect and teach dominance. I'm not panicking at all. I wish Phil Loadholt the best, great dude. I wish Dancy the best, my homeboy, great dude. But you better believe, y'all, the people who are coming in next, you have nothing to worry about.
Well said, Uncle. And I mean, to your point, I mean, that's exactly where I went when this happened. It's Coach Prime's quote: you either get elevated or terminated. This is just the business, man. This is what happens in all levels of football. It's kind of, the calendar is pretty disjointed right now just because the portal opens, kind of during bowl season and all this stuff. We got National Signing Day going on. But this is what happens every offseason. Coaches are going to move on. They're going to leave, whether it's just, go reunite with a guy who they've coached with before in Coach Loadholt's case, or go back home in Coach Dancy's case. This is just the stuff that happens. I'm interested to see who Coach Prime hires, though, because obviously, since he's gotten here over the 2 seasons, this brand has been elevated. The talent level on the roster has been elevated. I think it's kind of a destination job. I think people are going to want to come play or coach a lot of these players that the Buffs have. I mean, look at just the edge room and the offensive line. They're still recruiting guys. We're going to get into it in the next segment. We still got portal visits coming in on the offensive line. They don't have an offensive line coach right now. So there's a lot in play. There's a lot of moving pieces right now, but trust in Coach Prime. I mean, he's definitely earned the benefit of the doubt and your trust to this point for sure.
Hey, and Jake, and to that point, and Scotty as well, you guys know, as the journalists that you are and been covering this program in depth, rewind 12 months ago, we had a big recruit weekend. And not only did you not have a D-line coach this time last year, you didn't have a defensive coordinator this time last year. And look who we signed. Let's not forget, and this is no slight to position coaches. This is no slight to coordinators. The lightning rod, the magnetic pull, the gravitational pull is Deion Sanders. As long as he is head coach, you can recruit without a position coach, because just like the young man who said, hey, I want to come in Colorado because I know Phil Loadholt can get me there. It was Coach Prime that got Phil Loadholt in the building. He would get another Phil Loadholt. The draw, the gravitational pull is Deion Sanders. We're going to still have a successful recruiting class. One thing I pointed out to you guys and people who listen when I'm just out there running my mouth, when that portal opens and closes for some people, until they practice or start class, they can always change their mind. So the ripple effect of a coach change is something that can happen anyway into your own campus practicing or in class. We also know that every time one of these football games end, I know we're going to get into the bowl games and CFP in the next segment, but every time one of these games end, the portal reopens for 5 days for those folks. It ain't over. Like, there's still people going to be coming to Colorado and looking to Colorado regardless of coaching changes, because the tip of the spear, Deion Sanders, is still there.
Yeah, and I would just advise people to be patient. Like, this isn't something that I would expect to come together in the next week or even maybe this month. I mean, especially with there being the opportunity of some guy coming in from the NFL. Like, there's still a whole NFL playoffs to be played, and that might be a reason why this kind of gets delayed, maybe even into close to the spring. And that wouldn't be an issue, particularly that spot, because we know who's really calling the shots, and that's Coach Prime. And I love that term you use, Coach, that magnetic energy, because that's so true. Like, as long as that guy is still in the top seat, there will be guys, players, and coaches alike attracted to Boulder, Colorado, for sure.
Scott, I want to run around the room and knock these damn lights down. I mean, you nailed it when you talked about patience, because again, I want to stress to folks, not only this time last year, it was this time well into February that you still didn't have a DC or D line coach. Mm-hmm. And here's the beauty of the situation. You get to wait till the NFL season is over to see who's going to be retained and who wants to move into college football. You get to the whole scouting process, going into the combines, all that stuff is behind you, and you get to make these clear decisions. And guess what you haven't missed? You haven't missed a day of football, because the O-line and the edge rushers are going to be with the strength and conditioning staff, not their position coaches. You as long as you got your position coaches in-house by March, you haven't missed anything.
Chief.
I mean, and to that point, with the NFL calendar and the season coming to an end, just going to the playoffs, I cannot but feel that's an advantage for Colorado. I don't think there's many other head coaches who have the luxury of being able to say, let's wait until after the NFL season and see who we can get. But that's the power of Deion Sanders, and that's what we've seen the last 2 years and what Neely saw the last 5 seasons. I mean, as I said off the top of this segment, I mean, the guys' connections are they're everlasting. You'll never we can throw some names out here, and there's a couple names I will throw out, but you can almost like predict this stuff, man, because Coach Prime is so well connected. I mean, who would have guessed that it would have been a connection from Mike Zimmer to all the Bengals connections to the Cowboys connections with Coach Prime that brought in Robert Livingston. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to go through with this whole process. Just be patient. It'll take some time. Unc, do you think any more position coaching moves coming on our way, though?
I gotta put mine over in the yes category without having any solid information. And again, you've heard me say this quote time and time again. Best indicator of future performance is past performance. I've seen Coach Prime make changes when he went undefeated in conference and won back-to-back championships. I have to believe 9-3, knowing that we got to get 10 or 11 as we watch college football unfold, I have to believe there's still some changes to come. These 2 changes were something that the individual coaches did. We've yet to see what the head coach is going to do organizationally. I'm sure there's going to be some GAs to move up. I'm sure there's going to be some people in the building who have been found to be better suited for this position than that position. I'm telling y'all, man, I think we should expect some more changes.
Yeah. Jake, I want to hear some of these names you got. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. So, well, first off, this is a guy we talked about a lot last year, and he's from Colorado. He coached the Broncos offensive line for a while, Mike Munchak. He's been just hanging out in Colorado. I don't know what his situation is. I think he moved back here for family reasons and kind of retired from coaching because of that. But I mean, one of the best, he's an NFL Hall of Famer, one of the best offensive line coaches of all time, really. And then this one's from Dukes. He tweeted this out before New Year's. Brian Braswell, ex-Maryland offensive line coach. He was the reason the Terps finished second for 5-star offensive tackle Jordan Seaton last year. Born and raised in Atlanta, NFL experience. Great technical coach. Again, just a name. I mean, there's so many names that we could get into with this position coach stuff. But
hey, Jake, Scotty, and to the fans out there listening around the world, don't forget about Big George is in the building.
Yep, that's true.
That's true. Don't overlook who you have there already helping with the offensive line, helping navigate leadership and development. George Heckman is right there already. So not only does that give you somebody you could dial up, it also buys you time because you're not losing anything.
Yeah. Just before, you go into the next name or two, Jake, that the guy from Maryland who Dukes mentioned, I mean, that's something interesting to me because I feel like similar to how you're deciding on an offensive coordinator to hire a new OC, right? You're going to consult your quarterback. I feel like this is a situation with whoever is being brought in or considered. You kind of ask Jordan Seaton, like, hey, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy's resume? Do you know anything about him? If so, tell me something. I feel like he will kind of be at least somewhat involved in this search, as he should be, because, again, this is a 5-star talent. This is a future pro who did everything asked of him as a true freshman. And I feel like he's going to be involved in this search, and he should be. And, he might be a reason why, somebody he has connections with ends up being, the guy to take over for Coach Lolo.
Scotty, just when I think you have reached your boundaries, you are like the horizon, my friend. You just keep going and going. Like there's no end in sight because you just damn nailed it. And let me flip that on the other side, because not only will a Jordan Seaton type of player be informed and have a say, he is the reason, and the others who have signed on are the reason that you're going to attract a good coach. Because let me tell you this, brothers, whether it is the two of you who have interviewed him, whether it is me that's been with him since Jackson State, no matter who you are on the defensive staff or the offensive staff, everybody in this organization gets to say, I coached the Heisman Trophy winner.
Yep.
Do you know what everybody wants to say in their position room? That I got such and so to the NFL.
Yep.
And now anybody who comes in to be our O-line coach in Colorado, you got 2 or 3 guys already there that are going to the league and will go to the league while you're their coach. Yeah. What does that do for your personal resume? Like, this is an attractive job. There's no need to panic. Coach Prime is going to have a problem who to tell no to versus who say yes to.
Facts. All right, let's move on to the next segment. Take our first break here. Shout out to the homies over at Elevations Credit Union with what RK would call the sexiest credit card in world history.
This gives me chills, man, when I visualize it. So hot.
Also, shout out to RK. He checked in the comments. I think we'll get him back on the show tomorrow. He's just getting back to Colorado. Anyways, though, shout out to Elevations Credit Union with their Go Buffs Visa Signature Rewards card, the only official credit card of CU Athletics, with tons of benefits and good things. If you sign up for this card, you can get cash back on CU tickets, CU merch, restaurants, food, all kinds of stuff. Plus, every single swipe, Elevations Credit Union donates directly to CU student athletes through NIL. So go check them out. Visit them at buffscreditcard.com to apply and see full card benefits and details for the Go Buffs Visa Signature Rewards card, the only official credit card of CU Athletics, only at Elevations Credit Union. And then shout out to Breck Brew. Happy New Year to y'all. Happy New Year to everyone watching and listening. Hope everyone got to enjoy some Breck Brews over this great holiday that we call New Year's. Am I wrong? Like, this has to be one of the most underrated holidays, right? You get playoff football, NFL's coming down to the wire. It's just family, hanging out, just like maybe even go parties if you're, that type of, person trying to celebrate. But I think this is one of the best holidays that we have.
It's probably the only holiday in my 12 months that I could wear the same pants 3 days in a row. so that's just tremendous upside right there. Some of the other holidays, when you come in, like you got something to do, you got to be seen. When it gets to New Year's, once it's after midnight, you get that 2 or 3 days into the new year that nobody gives a damn. You don't even know what day of the week it is yet. You know the date. Like I know this is the 2nd, but you don't know if it's Friday or Saturday.
Elite, hey, man, yep.
Anytime you can wear the same pants 3 days in a row, sign me up for that holiday.
Hey, that's a good point though, Jake, because like of the major holidays, like New Year's Eve got to be, in terms of like sporting events being on, like that's got to be like probably top 3 holidays, because like obviously Thanksgiving's probably, football, and maybe Christmas. But yeah, I mean, in terms of just sports action, sports that we love, football in particular, like this is a golden holiday, no doubt.
100%. Just make sure you got some Breck Brew around. They've got it out here in Utah where I'm at, and you can get it damn near anywhere. Use the Breck Brew locator at www.breckbrew.com to find a brew near you. Check out their new West Coast style IPA called the Ridge Runner. It's a double dry hop brew inspired by the untamed beauty of Colorado's trails. It creates notes of citrus and pine. They got great beers, man. Check them out. Come hang out to the DNVR bar with us and crush some Breck Brews. All right, let's get to the portal here. As I mentioned, No offensive line coach, but we got 2 massive offensive line visits coming in the next couple of days. First guy I wanted to talk about, though, because this came out, I think, before the Alamo Bowl, that Tulane running back Mekhi Hughes had entered the portal, had listed Colorado as a team of interest. This guy's been an absolute dog for Tulane the last 2 seasons, over 250 attempts and over 1,300 rushing yards in the last 2 years, 22 touchdowns in that time. Has also caught 30 passes and got 2 touchdowns through the air. One thing I did learn, though, today, just putting the show together, was his younger brother is Naeem Offord, who went to Oregon. He flipped to Oregon. So Oregon has entered the conversation for Mekhi Hughes, but Colorado has been listed as a potential destination. Buffs need a running back, right?
Yeah. You know, if I'm out there in the portal, and I know I got this quarterback battle, but I'm going to go with the assumption that's Juju, you know, going toward the future, even if not this fall. You know that quarterback is going to need a running game more than the Shedeur did. So you know that the running game here, you're going to get utilized. You're not going to be, you know, the dental floss in the Swiss Army knife. You're going to be the blade. You're going to be something that actually gets pulled out and utilized. I think it's an attractive position for Colorado run game going forward. And then when I'm just, I don't care if you watch it, Reach the People or the Pregame Show or Well Off. I see guys like Marshall Faulk hanging out in practice. I mean, damn, you know, what college team can say that? So I get some ancillary coach. It's like playing receiver here, and T.O. is always in the building. You know, I like the way, I know we all have a biased lean, but just from a pragmatic standpoint, you got to believe the run game in Colorado next year is going to be attractive to somebody.
Y'all heard the saying, right? Like, pay attention and people will tell you like how they really feel, like without them like using words. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that can be kind of said for the recruiting trail in terms of like who you target kind of signals what position you feel like you need to add to. And it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, Jake, but this kind of seems like the only running back this offseason that's kind of been linked to Colorado, which makes me think that either this staff hasn't really identified a transfer running back that they really like that fits their scheme, or they're just fine kind of running back the running back room that they had last year, which obviously includes Michael Welch, you know, Dallin Hayden, Isaiah Gustav, who each, you know, all have multiple years of eligibility left. And I'm just curious your guys' thoughts on that. I think this kid from Tulane would be a great add. He seems like a hell of a player, really an explosive guy who can, you know, obviously make plays in the pass game as well. But what would be your guys' I mean, just kind of one, do you kind of agree with that premise that it kind of seems like this staff might be okay with running back that running back group? And two, if that's the case, how cool are you with that, I suppose?
Go ahead,
Yeah, I would say across the board, regardless of position, what makes Colorado attractive to a one-year guy, and I'm not saying the Tulane guy only has 1 year. I'm framing my narrative to answer your question. I think across the board is just attractive to be in Colorado when you're trying to go to the next level and you only got 1 year left. And that's regardless of position.
I do too.
Just because of the NFL scrutiny, the television cameras, and who you got coaching, et cetera, et cetera. Having said that, I think our running back room is much like our wide receiver room. What you have and what you know you got coming, anything else is just gravy on the biscuit because you know you can win with it. Because you know you got talent that can run the ball now, and you got years to development because you articulated they have some time left. So I don't think you have to hit the panic button on like, oh my God, we got to get this third back in here, you know, to compete and push, because shit, Micah's gonna push himself. You know, Isaiah's gonna push himself. Look what those two were able to do when they were given opportunities. We just need to give them more opportunities. And I think with a new quarterback, even if that's not your particular scheme, you're gonna have to give them more opportunities. Yeah. So I'm with you. I think you can go with what you got.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. That's the pin comment here on the screen from Dave. And that's obviously certainly an option as well, that they're waiting for somebody who's still playing. But, you know, just back to my original point, like, we knew this team needed to target offensive linemen, and they've done that. They've already gotten commits. They've gotten visits lined up. Same thing on the defensive linemen. They've gotten commits. They've gotten visits set up. And, you know, again, to your point, Unc, I agree. I feel like for a running back, Colorado is a pretty sexy destination for 2025 and beyond. And that's why it's a bit, you know, kind of perplexing to me that there hasn't been more ball carriers, no running backs kind of linked to Colorado at this point. That's why I kind of wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. But go ahead, Jake.
No, that's a good point, Scotty. I mean, you can easily tell when you look at, the type of players, the positions that teams are bringing in, where they want to improve. And it's clear that Colorado wants to further improve in the trenches on both sides, and it's stopping the run. They keep on going after linebackers. They keep on going after offensive linemen, two guys who we'll talk about here very, very shortly. But you haven't really seen them target running back. And there have been some guys who have entered the portal that we've liked. They're all coming from lower levels mostly, just like this Tulane kid, Mekhi Hughes. But you haven't really seen them, bringing them all in for visits. And I've said enough about Micah. I think enough people know how I feel about him moving forward.
You feel the same?
I still feel the same. I like what I saw from Isaiah this year. Dallin had his moments as well. So I would feel fine, I think, going into this next season with this current running back group. I think you could always add to it and get better. But I think that, on the list of positions in need, running back may not be as high as we initially thought it was coming into the offseason.
I hear you.
Well said. And one thing I want to underscore, Jake, you hinted at it there. When you look at the action on the defense side of the ball, whether it's linebacker or whatever, here's the fact of the matter. We've gotten Miss Peggy to a bowl game. We didn't win it, but we got her to a bowl game. We know it takes more than 9 wins to go to the Big 12 championship. And, of course, you need to win that to go to CFP. When you look around the Big 12, you're not facing a Shedeur Sanders out there. Mm-hmm. You got more Scatterboos than you got Shedeurs. And so if we're going to go to the Big 12 championship and win it, we have to be able to stop the run, just period. And if we're going to be able to control the clock, we do need a run game with some degree of our own. So when you look at, if you just prioritizing scholarships as if it was free agency money, and I guess with the NIL and collective to some degree it is, what do we have to do, to beat who's on our schedule? Because that's what we got to do to get there. So I think you will see prioritization in those regards.
Love it. A couple offensive linemen also visiting this weekend, with one starting tomorrow, actually. Louisiana Tech center Zarian McGill is visiting CU this weekend. This guy, he's played a lot of football, man. 2023 second team, all Sun Belt. Only allowed 5 quarterback pressures and more than 250 pass blocking snaps last year. He's a beneficiary of the Diego Pavia ruling, giving JUCO recruits that extra eligibility for the seasons played in JUCO. He's from Mississippi, from Taylorsville, listed at 6'2", 308. Obviously pretty decorated, coming from a slightly lower level at the G5. This next guy, though, Wagner offensive tackle Brandon Snee, he's coming from the FCS level. This guy, though, absolutely massive. He's got an 84-inch wingspan, 6'7", 320 pounds. This guy coming from Wagner didn't allow a sack this whole year. But it's what you just said, Scotty. Look, these are the players that they're bringing in, that they're focusing on. They think they need to improve the offensive line, and that will lead to a better run game.
And I want to say something here, because particularly about those two guys that you just mentioned coming in for visits, one from Louisiana Tech, one from Wagner. I've heard and seen so many comments of people ragging on G5, guys coming from G5, like, why is Colorado targeting these lower tier players? Do people forget that Nakai Hill-Green was at Charlotte last year, and he's an absolute demon, is now at Alabama? People forget that LaShawnte Wester was at Florida Atlantic last year. Was
Shane Cokes.
Shane Cokes. Preston Hodge was at Liberty last year and is probably going to be a future pro. Like, this is the new age of college football. Like, you don't just always get these 4 and 5 star recruits. And even – there are guys at lower levels who can play, and we saw evidence of that on the Colorado football team in 2024. And on the flip side of that, Colorado brought in a big guy from the University of Texas last year out of the transfer portal, a young guy. A lot of people were excited about just bringing in the transfer from Texas. Well, guess what? He's back in the portal after not playing for Colorado in 2024. And now he's at Miami of Ohio. No shade to him or that school at all. But again, these school names are not everything on both sides of it. Just because you bring in somebody from a high-profile blue blood school, it does not mean that they're a player. And just because you bring in a guy from a lower level, it does not mean that they can't play at a higher level. So I would just like to put that PSA out there. These dudes can play. And I feel like also, too, Colorado got evidence of the fact that you can bring guys up from a lower level and they can be successful and impact your team in a positive way. I just felt like that had to be said.
I appreciate you saying that. And if anybody doesn't believe it, I mean, hell, last time I checked, the SWAC was lower than Group of 5.
Period.
And look what Cameron Silman Craig and Shador and Travis did here. So
Period.
Ball is ball, man. I mean, a 4-3 is a 4-3. Like, going up 225, all that is that everybody got a weight room, and so you got to stop looking at the names where these people come from and really dig into the metrics, of the individual. And one of the other things we just got to all acknowledge about the portal, I mean, it's the used car market, so it's buyer beware.
Yes.
There is an issue there, which is why the car is for sale, and you just got to determine if the issue is something your organization can manage. I have seen Coach Prime talk to head coaches who call him about a player that he once coached. And one thing he does is tell the absolute truth, but he makes sure he underscores their upsides. And so you'll hear the other coach like, oh, well, that's something we can work with here. I appreciate you telling me. And so sometimes these buyer beware asterisks fit your system or what you can manage, and sometimes they don't. But all of this, again, is used car market, man. Like, ain't no warranty. Like, you drive off, it's yours.
Yeah. And then someone just mentioned Cam Scatterbull in the chat, who is another example of that. I mean, one of the best running backs, maybe some people call him the best running back in college football. Started where, Jake? Sacramento State, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, like, come on, be for real. And also, too, where was I about to go? Damn, go ahead. It'll come back to me. One of y'all.
It's all good. Yeah, we'll take a quick break and then we'll get back to it. We got another visitor to talk about as well. Shout out to the homies over at Toyota. Man, I love my Toyota. Is what I would say if I owned a Toyota.
I don't know, bro. It don't hit the same when you say it, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
It don't. I mean, look, I've been in RK's Toyota. I've had the pleasure of going on many rides safely, securely, and efficiently with that Toyota. But it's a certain love that you can only have when you actually own one, which RK does so eloquently and so well each time. We miss him just for the Toyota reads, actually for much more than the Toyota reads, but
no,
we do miss him. But shout out Toyota, always reliable. You never see them broken down. They last forever. If you need a new car, visit your Front Range Toyota stores at a location near you. AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corwin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota in Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevenson Toyota East in Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Toyota is a proud partner of CU Athletics and the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places. Also, shout out to our friends over at Bet365, my favorite book to bet on when it comes to football because of those early money line payouts. If you bet on a team on the money line and they get up by 17 points or more, that's it. You cash it out. Don't have to wait for the end of the game. Even if they end up losing the game, you're secured with that early money line payout. And right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Just sign up, use the code DNVR365, then deposit $10, place a bet of $5. As soon as that bet is cleared, whether it hits or misses, you'll get $150 in bonus bets directly into your account. And it's $150. I mean, you can do $151 bets. You can do one massive $150 bet or split it up however you see fit. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 or older and physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody who knows a gambling problem wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah. And I just remember where I was going real quickly just when Unc brought up, kind of buyer beware out of the portal. Like, I remember before on the field at Folsom Field, just hours before Colorado kicked off the season opener against North Dakota State, I was chopping it up with North Dakota State's offensive line coach, who was my head coach in college. And I just asked him, I'm like, what do you think about this Colorado team? Just kind of feeling them out about the matchup or whatnot. And he just told me something about, obviously the offensive line was kind of remade through the transfer portal. And obviously, adding Jordan Seaton from the recruiting ranks as well. But he was like, you typically don't find good offensive linemen in the transfer portal because they left their place for a reason. And that's kind of the point here. Like, just because a guy is coming from a Texas or, a blue blood program, typically they're leaving for a reason. And if they were really a good player, that program probably would have made sure that they stayed where they were at. So that's why I don't look at somebody from a Wagner or Louisiana Tech. I almost prefer that archetype because that means that they were maybe overlooked through their initial recruiting. and they balled at their spot, and they're probably in some cases ready for a step up in competition. And again, that's what we saw in a handful of guys out of the portal last year that contributed in 2024. And again, that's just something that I wanted to point particularly about the trenches up front. Like, it's really not about where you came from previously, because if you were really that guy there previously, you'd probably still be there. So I just wanted to add that in as well.
Well said, Scotty. All right, we do have one more visitor come in this weekend. That is former UTSA linebacker Martavius French. And this guy has produced, man. Let's see. Yeah. He led the nation in stops this last year with 17 tackles for a loss. He's played in 37 career games, the last 20 of them as a starter, 80 total tackles. As I said, 17 stops for a loss. He is listed at 6'2", 225 pounds. Taking a trip to Colorado. He's also taken trips to UCF, Miami, North Carolina, and West Virginia. So another linebacker target has emerged for the Buffs.
We got to have it. We got to have it. That room lost some experience right before the bowl game. That room still has some growing to do with the younger guys in the room. I think you can expect some exponential offseason growth. Not only in physique, but also in football IQ from Jeremiah Brown, who stuck his toe in the portal and came right back. And so one thing that room does have for us is opportunity. And I think that Coach Hart and the linebacker coach, as well as the DC Livingston, know we got to maximize this room. We got to get this room going. So, and to the naysayers, to what you guys were just out there talking about, yes, it's UT San Antonio, not UT Austin. And it's not going to make a damn bit of difference if the guy can ball. Like, you don't lead in tackling, just on the fluke.
Yep.
Well said.
People will literally see a guy lead the nation in tackles for loss, or whatever it is, and be like, "Well, he's at UTSA," as if that really matters at that point.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, it really doesn't.
And I think we saw on full display in the Alamo Bowl, losing the Kai Hill Green. He was such a great player for Colorado this last year. But the room behind him was not very deep at all. And that impact is why, BYU was able to run all over Colorado, just like Nebraska was in week 2 when Nakai wasn't on the field. So they got to rebuild that room as well, build it not from the ground up, but you really got to add some talent to that room after you saw that weakness get exposed in the Alamo Bowl.
That's a cool
Speaking of weakness and exposed, Scotty, that damn ball is empty, bro. Like, all right, don't turn it up no more.
Hey, that was the last sip.
Get you another ball to stop it. Like, you're making me thirsty. There's nothing left.
It was kind of habit that last one. I was like, yeah, I emptied that one out.
Let's go, man.
You was not supposed to beat that, but that's all right.
Let it go.
That is a great comment from Elizabeth. We appreciate you. Yeah. I want to get to CFP stuff. A few more news and notes, though.
Hey,
Jimmy
Horn.
Go ahead.
Hold on, one more. Were you done with visit stuff?
That's all I had with those 3. You have another?
There's one more. Yeah. Texas State defensive lineman Tavian Coleman is visiting Colorado this weekend, or January 5th through the 6th, according to Steve Wilfong of On 3. Again, Texas State transfer, got 79 tackles, 19 tackles for loss, 7 sacks over the last 3 seasons. Again, a productive player, and again, kind of fitting the mold. I see some Texas State fans in the comments of this post, and they're like, please stay. So this is obviously, another talented player, again, addressing those trenches. He's going to be on campus here in a couple of days, and that would be another good add to that defensive front. Again, Tavian Coleman, Texas State defensive tackle transfer.
Let's go. Good stuff, Scotty. Couple more news and notes. This is kind of a formality, but Jimmy Horn did post on his Instagram that he was invited to the NFL Scouting Combine, where I think he'll be one of the fastest players at the Combine, at least one of the fastest receivers. He's going to make himself some money there, and at CU's Pro Day, it's going to be a big, big spring for Jimmy Horn Jr.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And couldn't happen for a better guy. Dealt with that injury that made him sit out some crucial games where he could have been seen by more eyes. Of course, everybody saw the bowl game. Didn't go the way that we wanted it to from a team victory. But also, the first play of the game was to Jimmy. There was going to be an attempt to get him his looks for this reason. So to see him get that combine invite and know what he's going to do there and at Pro Day, he is going to be on an NFL roster.
And then Hank Zielinskis entered the portal basically right after the Alamo Bowl. Already found a spot. I think it was Rutgers, right?
Yeah, that's where his brother's at, right?
Oh, yep, you are correct. So wish him well moving forward. Okay, to the CFP. I've got notes on four games, all the quarterfinals, but how about ASU repping the Big 12, man, taking it to Texas, digging themselves out of a hole too. I think they were down. It was a weird score, like 20-5, 17-5, something like that. Yeah. And they come all the way back, force overtime. Cam Scattaboo, an absolute monster. Sam Levitt, extremely impressive as well. And you guys can go anywhere with the CFP. I mean, it's just ASU really impressed the hell out of me.
Hey, shout out to Cam Scattaboo, man. And I just walk away after every Arizona State game just impressed with their head coach, man. Kenny Dillingham is going to be around for a long time in the Big 12, in college football at large. And yeah, man, they got it right, man. It's just football is very simple to me at its core. It's like, do you have a good head coach that everybody believes in? Do you have a good quarterback that everybody believes in? If you check both of those boxes, you're probably going to be all right, assuming you can take care of some of the ancillary things. And that's, at least this season, is what Arizona State had. And also, too, you talk about the quarterback spot. This type of season is going to be the type of season that can help them land one of those legitimate quarterbacks in the near future. And that's going to be scary. And it makes you think, too, just how well they played yesterday, particularly, as you mentioned, Jake, kind of digging themselves out of the early hole. Like, what if Jordan Tyson was out there on that field yesterday for the Sun Devils, man? I think that, that he certainly would have made a difference. I don't know if the Sun Devils would have came out on top with him on the field, but it just makes you thinking, yeah, man, that was a really good showing for the Big 12, really good showing for that program. And I'm excited to see how they kind of build off of this in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Excellent showing and representation in the Big 12 and, what this conference has to offer talent just across the league and that can compete with these quote unquote blue bloods. I want to take a different look at it, Scotty and Jake, from the totality of the season, going into the bowl games and also the CFP. And I think the issue is that this is our first time doing this, and we're so much creatures of habit that we can't let go of the past and how it used to work and embrace how it's working now. And what I mean by that is, we got to be patient with these college teams, even your own that you're cheering for, and not throw the baby out with the bathwater early on. Keep in mind, when you talk about lower level and group of five, look where Notre Dame is today and who they lost to in the first couple weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago, they would have been out of it because of that loss.
100%.
You look at Ohio State and what they did against Jake's Michigan Wolverines, and everybody's ready to throw them away. And look what they're doing now. Mm-hmm. You just got to get hot at the right moment. It's much like the NFL, whereas the whole season matters. It's really those last 4 or 5 games that you got to get hot and roll into, and then you can make your conference championship or make the top 12. And if you're still hot, you knock somebody off that was a lower seed than you. So I think now more than anything with this process in college football, that week 1 or 2 or maybe even week 5 loss just doesn't mean what it meant 5 years ago.
It's true. I mean, even Colorado this year, like that, people thought the world was over after Nebraska. The Kansas State loss really hurt, but if they would have continued to take care of their business, including the Kansas game, they would have probably been right in the CFP. And again, that's a hell of a point, because again, that just wasn't the case, 10 years ago, where again, it's not one loss, two losses even that can really break a season. And I think that's just really cool for college football.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ohio State looks like a buzzsaw, and they put it on Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks. I know a lot of people out there on Twitter and just in the college football world took a lot of enjoyment in that fact that Oregon got blown out in the CFP. I know Buff Nation certainly had fun with it yesterday.
I love my guy Coach Prime, his tweet, to Arizona, and how he embraces the coaches that he embraces. And I also just love the silence on the Oregon loss. I really think, and this is just me knowing my guy. I'm not quoting him. Neely ain't said that he said. This is me talking. I think the lack of a tweet on Oregon loss is louder than the tweet on loss.
I love it, man. Oh, but I would give to just hear what he had to think about that, though.
I would love that too, man. Like you gotta believe he loved it.
That's hilarious. Hey, but that boy Jeremiah Smith, dog. Hey, man, I don't know if I've seen anything like him before. I'm not gonna lie. At that age, doing the thing the things that he was doing yesterday, things that he did all season. I mean, what do you have? 14 touchdowns, receiving touchdowns entering, yesterday's game. And then, he got them going immediately on that first drive with that big play, catch and run. Yep. And then he was just on it all game. I mean, that is a future Pro Bowler, future All Pro. Mm-hmm. I'm almost running out of words. That dude is special.
70 receptions, 1,224 yards, and 14 touchdowns. 15. He had a rushing touchdown as a true freshman. Is otherworldly.
Just playing high school football last year. It's crazy.
Really is insane. All right, let's take our final break. We'll get to questions. I know there's some more CFP stuff too, so we'll get to that. Shout out to the homies over at Live Well. Living well out there, Scotty?
Absolutely, bro. Always live well, 4L.
Hell yeah. Unc, you living well?
I know no other way.
Let's go.
When you can be in the same pants and haven't brushed your teeth and feel great, like you are living well.
But shout out to Live Well Cannabis Stores, who strives to make cannabis accessible to all. They got 25 convenient Colorado locations. They really are everywhere out there in Colorado. Great staff, super knowledgeable, super supportive. They'll help you find exactly what you want and need, whether it's flower, edibles, concentrates, and much more. They also offer a price match guarantee, ensuring you get the best value by matching local competitors' prices on eligible products. Put in an in-store pickup makes it super quick and easy. You can see the whole menu online. Then all you got to do, put the order in, show up, show your ID, and you're out the door. You can place your order online and use the code DNVR25 when you pick up to receive that discount. That's 25% off one regular priced item. Some restrictions apply, but shout out to the homies over at LiveWell. And then shout out to Circle K. Your boy needs a Circle K run.
Dude, love them. Miss them. Need them.
I mean, we got another playoff game today. Shout out to everyone in New Orleans. Super scary situation. But with the game getting delayed, I'm out of snacks. I gotta go back and get my snack run for the Sugar Bowl tonight. And I will be hitting up my local Circle K, who kept us fueled on the Great American Stampede. How much do you guys miss the bus?
Dog, let me tell you about the Circle K and the bus and missing it. I don't advocate, stalking, don't agree with it. I ain't never set my car out in front of a chick house. But I'm about to pull up to Circle K and just sit in the parking lot, look at the front door, man. Like, I miss it like that, man. It was so good to us. The bus was so good to us. Like, I just need those moments back in my life, man.
Let's go. Hit up your local Circle K, though, and join the inner circle. Tons of deals on gas, drinks, rollers, food, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, ain't nothing bad ever came off a roller, man. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care if we roll in the Live Well or roll in the looper. Like, give me something off a roller from yesterday's roller. I don't want today's roller.
Oh boy. But join the inner circle. All you need is your email and phone number to be fully enrolled. After that, you'll get deals sent straight to you. Your first 5 fill-ups when you join the inner circle are 25 cents off per gallon. Every 5th item, every 6th item free on tons of stuff. So download the app, sign up for the Inner Circle for exclusive offers, new offers, purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are uploaded weekly.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to questions.
Let's do it. And man, while you get to the questions, man, underscore something you said. Being here in Jackson, when you grow up in Mississippi, particularly in the center of the state, you were just down the street from Memphis, just down the street from New Orleans. So there's a connectivity on I-55. So shout out to New Orleans and what they're going through. It really just puts what a football game is and ain't in comparison and in the right place and importance. And there's nothing more important than everybody going home safely. So postponing that game, roughly 24 hours was absolutely the right thing to do. I know the governor of Louisiana and a lot of other leaders going to be at the game. It will be safe. It will be secure, but absolutely the right thing to do in postponing. Shout out to the families and what they have endured, the people who were injured, particularly those who lost their life. Just something senseless and uncalled for. And it really just puts life in perspective as we're enjoying a holiday. Some people are absolutely suffering the worst thing imaginable.
Well said, Unc. Thoughts and prayers to everyone out there in New Orleans. Definitely. Tragic situation. All right, Alyssa. Slim asks, but at one point do we become a powerhouse P4 program like Ohio State and retain the best coaches and actually build culture in those locker rooms? Eventually it gets to a point, dude.
Didn't Ohio State just add Chip Kelly as their OC mid-season?
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, I get what Slim is trying to say and appreciate the question comment, Slim. But not only do other coaches like Ohio State have to add people, mid-season, you have to really put in the prime effect in the spotlight. As Coach Prime said, people are going to see your beauty marks and your warts. And he's going to continue to have coaches that are going to be attractive. And so this is going to be an ongoing theme with any organization he's involved in, because just like Scotty articulated, he didn't know who the hell Rob Livingston was this time last year, but we're hiring him again right now. That's going to be the same thing with these next hires. And so that's the way of life with Coach Prime, man. People going to want who with you.
I want to counter Slim. I think that losing coaches is the sign of a good program. Absolutely. Look at how many times Alabama lost their offensive coordinator. Look at how many times their defensive coordinator got hired to go. I mean, that's where Dan Lanning came from, or he was Georgia. I mean, this is what happens to good programs. Your good coaches get poached, but what separates good from great programs is the guy at the top, the guy who runs the whole show, and replacing all of those coaches that they lose, which is something that Coach Prime has already started to show he can do with what he did with Robert Livingston.
And again, look where these coaches are going after they leave Colorado. Like Vincent Dancy and Coach Loadholt are now in the SEC. Like Charles Kelly left to go to the SEC, and now he's a head coach. Sean Lewis left Colorado, now he's a head coach. Like, again, you got to look where guys are heading, not just that they're leaving, but they're using Colorado as a stepping stone for a promotion, not a demotion.
DeAndre says, does the portal close today for Colorado players to enter? The portal closed for Colorado day of the Alamo Bowl, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why you saw like Hank kind of trickle into the portal a few days after. It does take a few days for that paperwork to get cleared sometimes and officially have the name show up in the portal. But I think if you haven't seen a player into the portal at this point, you're pretty much set until the spring when it comes to Colorado's portal entries. So,
and if that's the case, I mean, pretty well done in terms of player retention.
100%.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously, some guys leaving like Nakai hurt, but relatively speaking, not any major losses to the portal.
I will tell you this though, Scotty. If you look at it from a game standpoint, losing Hill Green to the portal for that bowl game hurt. But there was no better time for him to leave if you're trying to get ready for next year. Because trying to replace him in May, June, or July is much different from trying to replace him, in November, December. So
absolutely. T-Money asks, Unc, when does winter weight and strength training start?
Should be a team meeting on January 12th, if my memory serves me right. And as school starts back, you'll see the players trickling into the weight room for strength and conditioning, which really gets underway in February, and spring ball starts in March. I'm not looking at a calendar, but I would imagine practice 15, because you get 15 practice in the spring. So practice 15 is actually the spring game. That should probably fall around April 19th or so, whatever that weekend is. So we'll have a break with spring break again, like we did last year, with the spring game being after spring break.
Alejandro asks, any updates with Trevor Woods? Other than the fact that he entered the portal a couple weeks ago, that's all I know. I don't think he's found a home yet. Panther, how many we have with the combine invite? It's an interesting question. I mean, with an invite, I'm sure Travis and Shador are going to get invited. Whether they go or not, who knows?
Yeah. And if they go, do they participate in all the workouts?
Exactly, yep. I don't know. I'd imagine at least double digits, 10, 15 guys from Colorado get invited to the combine.
I'll say that's fair.
Who's next? Mr. Big Play says, Unc, how's Juju looking?
Looking as good as you can look without showing a look, if that makes sense. Has not done a lot of throwing as we were getting ready for the bowl game. Was kind of learning the drill and learning the offense. But I will say this, you could tell in his body language and demeanor that coming early really suited him in the atmosphere, because being able to hang out with Shador, You see him cracking jokes with not just the freshmen who came early with him, but more senior players who will be back. So I think that kind of thing I'm going to grade as looking absolutely great because now he's familiar with the building and won't be drinking from a fire hose, mid-January. But if you're talking about from a physical standpoint, of course, he wasn't, out there throwing deep balls or anything, getting those kind of reps. But what a testament for a guy to be there early and getting orientated to the atmosphere.
It's invaluable, man. He had a really cool post talking about Juju Sunday. Just a picture of his locker room set up right next to Shador's at the bowl game, and Juju captioned it. You left huge shoes to fill, but I promise to work to leave CU Buffs football even better than I found it. Like it's an A+ human being right there, and he's going to be an A+ player on the field too, not before too long.
Yep. Carson asks, what characteristics are you looking for in a new offensive line coach?
For me, the ability to connect and the ability to teach dominance. And it's really, I'm just speaking from Coach Bryant's playbook. Like, one thing you look with all our coaches, if they have one thing in common outside of being great dads themselves, those who have kids, is their ability to connect with their room. Their room will run through a brick wall for them. And now you have a guy teaching them that has run through a brick wall and can show you how to do it in a dominant nature. So for me, connectivity with them and teaching them how to dominate.
I love that connectivity because you got to be able to relate, man. You got to be able to relate to your guys, and they got to be able to want to play for you, more than just playing for a coach. I would also just add that NFL experience that I talked about earlier, again, whether it's as a player, as a coach, or whether you just have NFL connections, and also just a high level of ability to explain the why behind the game, the why behind, your responsibility on a given protection, a run play, et cetera, just to explain, kind of go deeper. And I'm sure a guy with NFL background would have that, so that might go hand in hand, but those are a couple of things that I'm looking for sure.
I'll add the ability to recruit well too. I mean, we've seen the talent and type of player that Colorado's recruited, especially in the trenches the last 2 seasons, on this upward trajectory. That's got to continue. I think that's how this program reaches the next step, is continuing to recruit and get better in the trenches, and stacking these guys like Jordan Seaton, Chauncey Good, and these type of recruits on top of each other, so that you not only have a deep room, but you have a supremely talented room as well.
I'll say this, man. Before we get to the next super chat, I'm seeing a lot scroll by about a campaign to pressure Coach Prime to hiring somebody in the name they're throwing is McChesney. I don't know if y'all have not been listening to Coach Prime the past 2 years, but you're not going to pressure him to do a damn thing. Like, I don't care what kind of email campaign you got, what kind of hashtag you come up with. If you think that this is a head coach that can be pressured into something, and that's no slight toward any individual candidate. The candidate has to stand on their own and pass his muster in the interview process and whatever the process may be tailored to them. But I can assure you, having covered Coach Prime for 5 seasons now, pressure ain't the way to do it.
Hey, they trying, Coach. Hey, they trying. They trying to put together that campaign for sure.
All right, you gonna get what you asked for. The pressure gonna flip.
Thank you, Unc. Thank you. Gerardo says, watching the playoffs, the build and size of the players stand out. When CU can get those bodies in the trenches, and safety/linebackers will be straight. Definitely. I think that's why it's so hard to enter, that top tier, that not blue blood, but like the 5 or 4 teams who really are able to win a national title any given year. It's because they have this system where they just have guys, 2-3 deep that are, honestly, physical specimens. They're just dogs on the football field, and they look like it.
Yeah, well said.
Joseph Jack says, Big Matt. Thank you, Joseph. Big Pitt says, don't need running backs, need offensive line who can open a hole. That's basically, I think, the point we were getting at when we were talking about that. So well said, Big Pitt. Day Trippin says, we need more.
Day tripping, man.
Thank you for the super chat. East Coast Kev says, hey, Dan Lanning, what happened to being rooted in substance? Where was the substance last night when Oregon was getting
read it, Jake, read it.
When Oregon was getting it taken to them by Ohio State. Looks like you were fighting for clicks last night.
Oh man!
Kev.
Shout out to East Coast Kev.
Shout out
with two V's.
Kev always keeps me on my toes, man. I never really read a lot of these super chats as they come in, but Kev's gonna get me one of these days.
Oh man!
Shout out Don Peasy. Happy New Year to the Buffs and everyone in the DNVR family. Y'all are the goats. You're the goat, Don Peasy. Thank you, brother. East Coast Kev again says, "Hey Oregon, remember you said the Cinderella season was over. You ain't never lied."
You ain't never lied.
East Coast Kev is cooking.
Dude, they were number one in the nation undefeated. I just want to point that out.
They were. The Ashanti mom says, "What's up next for the offensive line coach? Is Matt a serious contender? If not Matt, maybe another NFL pro O-line coach, player or coach. Your thoughts?"
In Prime, we trust. I trust Coach Prime is going to make the right decision, and it's going to be somebody who, first and foremost, who can propel us to domination in the trenches and thereby winning games now, but also be able to teach these young men what it takes to get to the next level. Who that is and where they are right now, don't know. Could be somebody who's in the NFL currently. I don't think there's a front runner at this time, because just like we went through this last year with the D-line coach and even the DC, one thing he has is time.
Yep. Don Peasy again, because the Buffs missed the playoffs, I was hoping to see the Sun Devils versus Oregon, but Devils were hosed and Ohio State spoke with their pads and Oregon played for clicks and views. Oh, well, hashtag Buffs 2025.
Is it Ohio State, Texas now?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's Ohio State, Texas in the Cotton Bowl. The winner of today's game will play Penn State in the Orange Bowl. But these games are on January 9th and 10th next weekend.
That Ohio State, Texas game would be cracking.
Mm-hmm. East Coast Kev again says, "Salute to DNVR, Michael Neely." I'm sad.
Man, let East Coast Kev cook, man.
I'm sad Colorado's season is over. I'm happy your Oregon season is way over. In the words of Prophet Kendrick, it's not enough. Thank you, Kev. You're the legend, bro.
Shout out to East Coast Kev, man.
Not you says
I'll take this one. I'll take this one.
Please.
The Y is opposite of old, and the C is for something you put peanut butter on and eat it, but it's not bread. It's like crunchy bread. It's saltine Ritz. Yeah. So a not old Ritz is. Y'all take it from there.
Well said.
Well done, Oak.
It's opposite of YN.
Yes. That's what I thought you was just going to say at the gate. It's the opposite of YN.
Well, I wanted to let a naysayer know.
Oh, man. PABWS says, "Just want to say thank you guys for all that you do and the professionalism in covering the Buffs." Thank y'all, man. It truly is a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Really wouldn't want to cover another team. So it's a dream.
Bro, one last thing before we get out of here that just came through. A four-star wide receiver, Donovan Murph, was announced his commitment today. He was considering Ole Miss, Tennessee, Clemson, and Colorado, but he just committed to South Carolina. He's staying home. So,
yep.
Off the target list.
Yeah, he was involved early with CU, but he seems to have kind of dropped off the last, 4-6 months or so.
Yeah.
Final super chat from Not You says 6 laughing emojis. Cracker, say it.
Well, you can say cracker when it's by itself like that.
Right.
Exactly.
you can't say it in the full sentence, Like I'm gonna leave here and eat some crackers. Like I can formulate that context.
Well said. All right, we're out. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back in studio next week. Thank y'all for hopping on. What's up,
Jakey? Let me give a New Year's shout out, if I may, before we go. This is our first joint show of 2025, and I believe the fans can expect more to come. It has been a pleasure working with you guys another year on our joint projects. I think 2024 was a blast. Somewhere in late 2024, which happened to be mid-football season, Scotty Deep Pockets joined us, and it's just been phenomenal having him on as well. Looking forward to a full calendar year with Scotty Deep Pockets because the guy knows ball. And so I think the fans can expect more and more for this to come, and there truly is no off season with the partnership. So you ain't got to wait around the spring ball of August for us to kick some ass together again.
Hell yeah, man. Well said. And I just want to say quickly too, man, I appreciate both of you guys on the screen, RK included, everybody at DNVR for, welcoming me in with open arms and just, being part of the squad, man. Y'all mean a lot to me. It's been real fun. It's been dope. Just this last, year plus that I've been in Colorado, but particularly these last, 2 months or so that I've been working with y'all. It's a blessing, no doubt.
Yeah.
Likewise, man.
Scotty, you'll get this as a Chicago guy. The greatest addition to a team since Ron Harper joined the Bulls, that's Scotty Too Hotty.
I love all Bulls reference because, again, I was named after a Bulls legend, Scottie Pippen. So I get that for sure. Love that.
Talk to your pops what happened when Ron Harper left the West Coast and came to the Bulls.
Yeah, it was up from there.
Love it, man.
Ron Harper stuttered a little bit. You don't stutter, so that's the only difference.
Whenever I bring it, that's why I chuckled a little bit because whenever I bring up Ron Harper, that's the first thing my dad gonna mention is right there.
Oh yeah, man. Working at DNVR is a dream, brother. And then I get to work with you guys. I mean, it's really like icing on the cake, man. So it was a great season. I think we had a lot of fun. We made a lot of good content, but we're gonna keep it rolling. We have a lot of cool plans moving forward for this off season. We got a whole draft season we're going to go through. That's going to be a ton of fun too. Into spring football. There's a lot more to come. So we'll be back tomorrow. You guys on tomorrow? I think RK might be back.
Sure. If you need, just holler.
Hell yeah. So there you go. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go Buffs.
We all silly like the mayor.